Hi, it is Monday, September 21st, and this is Maria Quattrone with Be The Solution. I am so excited for my guest today, Emilio Mignucci. He's a third-generation business owner of De Bruno's, which, oh my God, I love. Such a great business to work in. How are you, Emilio?
I am fantastic and, getting better every day.
Good. It's good to see you.
It's good to be seen.
Yeah.
Always fun to see you, Maria.
How's the cheese world doing?
Well, people love cheese and it's doing well, and we're doing our part to connect our really great makers with our really great customers. So all is good.
So one of the things we like to talk about on our show, Amelia, is your journey and your family's journey. So if you want to tell our listeners about how you got into the business, obviously you're the third generation, but you could have done something else, right?
Yeah, oh, totally. I mean, yeah, I tell people my grandparents came over from Italy with nothing more than a third grade education, turn of the century, and went to work in the Italian market, and put their roots down there, and worked for a Greek fella named Los Angeles in a retail store who taught them retail, and they eventually just saved their money and bought this little store, the original store that you frequently shop in the Italian market at 930 South 9th Street. And I was fortunate enough to be born and raised there. As a kid, third generation, I grew up on Alter Street, right just a little south of Washington Avenue, between Washington and Ellsworth, between 8th and 9th. And I growing up in the Italian market, I like to tell people that I almost didn't have a choice. The sights, the sounds, the smells of the fresh food in the market, walking up and down there every day. It's kind of like it gets in your blood. And I went to school right there at St. Paul's, and my grandparents' store was right there. And like most of the kids that went to St. Paul's school, we got a break for lunch and went home for lunch. But I went to the cheese shop right around the corner to see my grandparents. And
you ate lunch there?
I did. And my grandmother would feed me and eat olives, salami, prosciutto, things like that, bread, cracker, and just like that's how I grew up, right? And growing up in the Italian market, the beautiful thing was that, you went to my grandparents for really great cheese and olive oil and things like that, roasted peppers and antipasto type stuff. And you went to the butcher across the street to get fresh meat. And you went to the fish store to get fresh fish. And so like, that's all I knew growing up until I went to high school. And I went to high school. I didn't do like my brother and everybody else, or most people in South Philadelphia, go to Newman or Goretti. I chose to go to Central High because I thought, growing up across from Gino Steaks and Pat Steaks and playing in that park all day, every day, I wanted to play football. And that was my first passion. But then I quickly realized I really enjoyed eating. And I'd go to school, go to high school. I remember going to my first full day of high school at Central High. And I sat in the lunchroom, and I had this paper bag. It was like a shopping bag. My mother packed my lunch in, and she packed me two rolls, like picture two hoagies, right? And a bag of chips and everything that I eat, because I was just so used to eating like that. And I noticed that other kids around me who weren't from South Philly, like me and a couple of the other South Philly kids, sat together. This is what we were eating, and I had like a chicken cutlet sandwich, right? And these other kids are eating ham and cheese and peanut butter and jelly
on white bread.
And I'm like, like how could that? Like, what is that? I honestly had no idea. When I saw somebody eating peanut butter and jelly, I'm like, what is that? And they said peanut butter and jelly. Like, I said, I've never had that. And I, honest to God, here's what I did that day. I went home from school and I said, hey, Mom, why don't you ever make me peanut butter and jelly? And she said, because you don't eat that. I'm like, what do you mean I don't eat that? She's like, you don't like it. I said, how do you know I don't like it? I never had it. So the next day, she made peanut butter and jelly sandwich. She's like, well, how many do I got to make it? I usually make it 2. So I'm like, I don't know. They're small. Make me like 4 or 5, whatever. So she makes them. I take them to school. And I eat these things. I'm like, well, this is this is flimsy. Like there wasn't enough substance to it. Like white bread to me wasn't the right thing. So I go home and I was like, you know, Mom, you were right. I love the taste of peanut butter and jelly, but I didn't like the bread. Can you do that on a hoagie roll? So she's like, you're driving me nuts. So she totally made me peanut butter and jellies on Star Cones bread, because that's where we got
Right.
made up the street, right?
Yeah.
And she'd make peanut butter and jelly on Star Cones. She's like, you're nuts. And I used to take that to school. And then I got tired of that and went back to like leftover macaroni in a roll, right? I take that so much. People were looking at me like I was nuts. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Like this is what I like eating. So I didn't understand the world of food, right? But I did know in my heart and soul, like the Italian market, growing up with fresh produce and eating broccoli rabe and things like that, that I really love food a lot. And went to high school, finished high school, and I was going to go to college. And at that time, when it looked like I wasn't getting a scholarship, I said, you know what, to play football. I said, you know what, let me check out culinary. And I went to culinary school. And I really fell in love with it then. Came out of culinary school, went to work at a place called DeLulo's in Center City. At the time, they had just
God, back in the day,
right into the
DeLulo's, Broad and Locust.
Yeah, and I worked there when they had just opened up. They were open like 6 months or something. I did my internship there, and I really just fell in love with it. And I started cooking, and I got into the food world like that. And when my grandparents were getting ready to retire, my cousin was graduating from Drexel with a business degree, and he said, "Hey, what do you think about the Brunos? What do you think about the store?" And I said, "What do you mean? What do I think?" And he's like, "Oh, do you think we could do it?" I'm like, "Well, like take it over?" And he said, "Yeah, let's do it." And I was like, "All right, let's do it." And we were young.
So how old were you then?
22. 22. Him and I were the same age, Billy and I. And so we called the family meeting, and we made the pitch to my grandparents and my uncles, and they were getting ready to retire, and they didn't know that we wanted to be part of this, or else they would have offered it to us sooner. And they literally had tears in their eyes about us wanting to take over the business. And we said, and we were big shots, right? Like we had no money. We didn't have 2 dimes to roll together, him and I. And we said, but we don't want you to give it to us. We want you to sell it to us. And they just kind of laughed at us. And we said, no, we're serious. We want to pay you back. Like, we know we don't have it now, but over 5 years, we want to pay you back. And I think my grandparents, they just felt like, let's let them do this. Let's, help them out and let them do it. So, and we did. We did it with their blessing and their help. And they agreed to sell us the business. And I remember the first 4 months, they wouldn't cash the checks of what we were doing the checks. And we were like, you got to cash it. We got to balance our checkbook. You're making it difficult for us. And so then my uncle got involved, my cousin Billy's father, and he made them cash the checks and, let us, learn as we went. But, we were fortunate that, my aunts, my great uncle Giuseppe, like a couple of them stayed on board, and they taught us about the business, and what it meant to the community. And, back then we didn't know. We took it over in 1990.
So 1990. Your family's from where in Italy?
So mostly Abruzzo, a little town of Teramo, just outside of Pescara, and then some of them from I have family down in Sicily, outside of Palermo, a little town called Santa Ana. And we took over this business, and we didn't realize what it meant in the neighborhood until all the older Italian women would come in and shop and tell us how to do things. I mean, you're familiar with that, right? These older Italian women, everybody's grandmother is your grandmother, and whatever they say goes. And it was a fun learning experience. But we started to realize, as customers who shop there, whether from the neighborhood or not, they would go away on vacation and send postcards to the cheese shop about their trip and stuff. And I thought to myself, well,
Wow.
how strange is this? Who does that? Like, who sends letters and cards to their favorite cheese shop? And we just collected them and saved them over the years. And we just started to realize this store is something special, and it's not about Emilio and Bill who took over the store. It's about Danny and Joe who built the foundation and the relationship with the neighborhood and the community of people that that wanted to come and learn about their culture. And honestly, we took over the business in 1990. We didn't really learn that until 98, 99. Honestly, it took us a good 8, 10 years for that to just sink in and understand, because you don't, at that age, 22 to 30, you just
Figuring it
you
out.
don't know impact. You just don't know. But the customers that are coming in that are so forthright and so willing to give you a pass for the mistakes that you made doing little things wrong, because of what Danny and Joe built, because of the foundation that we had, helped us to really understand that this store belongs to everybody that comes through that door. And it's here for everybody. So that's what we try to do now. As we grew, we started to realize we had something special here, and that teaching and training the young people that came into the Brunos to work for us while going to high school and then moving on to college, we realized that this is a real art. Like, retailing is a real art. Creating the emotional connection to the people that come through that door, making their day better, giving them that little bit of, the 10, 15, 20 minutes of special, personal time that lets them forget about the outside world or the stresses of their life, their job, whatever, that they could find joy here within these four walls of the store, and then go home and continue that joy, eating really cool stuff and learning about it along the way. We started to realize it was so powerful, and that it was something that we needed to harness, which allowed us to look deeper, to be able to want to grow the business for those that we taught and trained about who and what we are. And back then in the 90s, Maria, this, people didn't talk about culture in the 90s within a business. And it was something that came up, I guess, in the late 2000s, mid to late 2000s, actually. Like, people talk about it now. And it's a necessary, having a vision for the future of your business and a mission to be focused on that helps to create that culture. Is, we learned it over time, and I'm grateful for the time, first of all, for my grandparents and the type of people they were, and for the time that we have been allowed to work with my aunts and uncles, like my Aunt Cecile, my Aunt Edith, my Aunt Angie, Aunt Rita, in the store right after we took it over, with my great uncle Giuseppe Abruzzo. Dominic, these people taught us something that, it's just incredible stuff. So, and that's what we're trying to do now, is just pass on that information, that caring, that, want to be part of a community. And we know the food community is just such a powerful community around the world. I've made so many friends.
Brings people together.
Yeah, listen,
Either across all generations and all cultures. Food.
It's true. I travel a lot. You travel. When I'm in Italy, Spain, France, like, anytime we have conversations and we're getting to know people, it's always around food, and understanding the culture. So it's enlightening, and it's great stuff.
I love it. I love the what can come from food and the relationships that you can build with people through the love of food and through the love of community. It's interesting what you said about the postcards and people traveling. You had to think like, why are they sending these
Oh, we
to
did.
us, right? And
We
you're
did. It was strange.
and what did you think about it the first several times you were getting them?
Well, we thought, wow, that's really wow. I mean, at first we were like, wow, that's cool, and then they kept coming, and then it would come like year after year, and then people would send their Christmas cards to us, with their families, and as their families grew, and it became generational. This was something. The Bruno Brothers became something that all of these people felt a connection to, which is what we learned. And it was really humbling to see. We still have tons of them. We still get them. We have scrapbooks filled of letters. One of our longest time customers, I mean, Bob and Ann, they still shop in the store. They shopped in the store before we got there with my aunts and uncles and grandparents, and they shopped the whole time that we were there, and they still shop there now. And so, like, they knew me before I got married. They saw me get married. They saw me have children. And now my older son works and helps to manage the Rittenhouse store. He's 28, and my youngest is 23. And so, like, so it's more than
you're grooming the fourth generation.
Yeah. But it's more than just like a customer, business owner relationship. It's more familial, and we realize that it doesn't happen everywhere, and we're fortunate to have that happen for us, with us, because of my grandparents. It's not something that Emilio and Bill could have just done out of the gate, the goodwill that we realize that we have is because of Danny and Joe and Thomas, 3 immigrants that came over from Italy that, landed in South Philadelphia, and we're just looking to build, a life for themselves and their families. And as third generation, we reap the benefit of their hard work and all the time they put into, and the dedication they put into their family. And, we're just trying to keep that legacy going, and to always remember Danny and Joe, and to always deliver on that experience of, making somebody's day just a little bit better when they leave than when they walked in.
That's a hard thing to do as you grow.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Challenging, to say the least.
Yeah, it is. So you had the 9th Street store, the first store. And what made you and Bill decide to branch out and go? Because that's a big store you have in Rittenhouse Square.
Yeah, it's funny. So we had the Italian market store there, and I remember somewhere along the lines, around 90s, 98, around 97, 98. So this fella opened up a cheese shop on 18th Street, and he only sold French cheese, and he wasn't that successful. Center City, 18th Street back then wasn't as busy as it is now. It wasn't as developed as it is now. Rittenhouse Square was kind of in flux at that time. And
you had the one restaurant there. You had
Urban Outfitters was there.
Yeah, you had Rouge with Neil Stein and the first outdoor cafe in 98.
Rouge wasn't open yet.
Oh, wait, what was it, 2000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this cheese shop was there early, and it was called Ore. And the guy, after about a year in business, came to us and said, "Listen, I can't. I'm struggling over here. I can't make it work. Would you guys be interested?" And we said, "Well, we're not looking to buy another business." He said, "Listen, all you got to do is take over my lease, put your product in there, call it the Bruno Brothers, and I'll, And we said, "Well, what the hell? Why not? Let's give it a shot." So and only because we had, I don't want to say an excess of labor, but we had some good help. And we said, okay, if we're going to start looking at opportunity, let's see if something could happen now. And I guess it was around 98. And we go into the shop, and that was where you walk into our cheese shop on 18th Street, on 18th Street, where is the door to
Yes.
go in, where meat and seafood is.
Where the olives is where it was shut off before.
Yeah. So two doors down from there was an empty storefront also. And so we went into this other storefront, which is the entrance to, now it's the entrance to the upstairs.
Oh, right, where
Where
the
the townhomes
Curly
are. Okay. Right. So where our meat and seafood store is, we went into there, and it was just that little space. We took over that spot, and we did cheese, sandwiches, did all kinds of stuff. And we did some local catering. Then about a year or so later, that other space came open, and we said, well, we're having luck here. Center City's getting busier, and the city's stretching to 18th to 20th. And we wanted to get into prepared foods. This is about 99. So I think we moved into Rittenhouse in 97. That's when we took over already. And in 99, we started with prepared foods in that other space. At the same time, we took over the corner store in the Italian market, which is across from the piazza there that we have. And that corner store was a butcher shop, Frank's, and Frank was retiring. So we bought Frank's butcher shop, and we put a prepared food store there because we built a kitchen. And we started serving prepared foods out of Pronto there in the Italian market, and out of Pronto on 18th Street, which was 2 doors down from the cheese shop. Now, as those stores were getting busier on 18th Street, as that area was just growing and booming, La Colombe comes into play. They had a little sister cafe right there between our two stores. I forget what it was called. And so we realized we needed to try and put those two locations into one, and that building around the corner came up for sale. That building around the corner was a limited express.
That's right.
So we didn't have the money to do it. So we convinced our family to buy it, and we would pay them rent. So my uncles and aunts and all that went in to buy the property, and we paid for the build out and the construction of the store, me, Billy, and our businesses. And then we built that Rittenhouse store. And then once we built that, we gave back, the landlord of the other properties on 18th Street wanted the Pronto space back. So we gave him back the Pronto space, but we said we wanted to keep the other store where meat and seafood is now, so that we can have another entrance in and out. And he allowed us to cut through the wall and then connect the two. And that's how Rittenhouse became what Rittenhouse is today. So not long after that, we wind up, because we were doing such great business with the Roberts family, Comcast, they asked us to go into the Comcast building, the first one they built. And that's how we went into Comcast. About 2 years later, a friend of mine was getting out of his lease in Ardmore, Suburban Square, and asked if we would buy him out over there. That's how we got into Ardmore. So like opportunities come, and we took advantage of some, not knowing what we were getting into, honestly. And so like by this point, like all this craziness is going on, and we're just in growth mode, and we figured we were young enough that if we made a mistake, we could bounce back. And if it was a good opportunity, we could turn it into a good opportunity, that we would help to keep people that we're training to deliver on experience employed, and help make them part of the process and part of who and what the Bruno Brothers is today. So, today, fast forward, we're 7 retail stores. One is closed. That's the Comcast one, because we're waiting for the building to open up again because of COVID.
Did they say when that would be?
They said that they're looking at coming back into the office with maybe 25% or 50% of their people in January. Now they're not committed to it, but they said January, it looks like. So we'll see what happens.
So is that whole tower like shut down right now?
Yeah, there's nobody in the offices upstairs. So I mean, it doesn't pay to be open downstairs.
No,
So
nope.
we took the opportunity to change the concept there. So we're doing a fast casual Italian concept in there. When it opens up again, we started construction on it, and it's going to be this arrosto, like a arrosticini concept, like an Italian roasted meats and stuff. That's what we're
Nice.
down there when we finally open that up. But we're also working on a project out in Wayne to open up another store way out in Wayne. So, and at the same time, we have 3 liquor licenses in the city, and that's been helpful. So we have 3 bottle shops, one at the Rittenhouse store, one at the Franklin shop, and one in the Italian market. And so what we try to do in our bottle shop is the same thing that we try and do in our cheese shops, focus on small producers, people who are behind a product, so like we find a brand and a product like our cheeses and we celebrate the people who are building it. So we find really great producers in cheese from all over the world. We call it local or globally local.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're trying to help different communities all over the place and to really focus in on really great producers. And so wine was just the next step. When the state opened it up, we said, well, we could really help. Because every time we go to buy cheese in Europe, these cheesemakers have friends who are producing really great natural and organic wines, but don't have an outlet. And so
the wine and cheese people like to stick together.
They do, because there's synergies there, synergies.
That's my favorite thing. I get to sit if I ever gave this up, I'd be coming into the food industry.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
Wine, cheese, food, cooking.
Yeah, it's a
love, a passion.
It is. It's a passion and love, and you'd be surprised in our world, in our industry. There's so many people who have left corporate jobs and mainstream jobs like that aren't quite as fun. Food is a passion. And so we started talking about this, like my journey. It's just like, I feel like it was really just embedded in me from when I was a very young kid, walking that Italian market, going to school every day. Like, just food was in my soul. And, listen, compound it with having grandparents who started a little retail shop, and it's probably one of the oldest cheese shops in the country, they opened in 1939. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing.
It's a whole nother world.
Yeah.
But then things come full circle, right?
Yeah.
Things come full circle. How are you, like, with everything that's going on now, how are you able to, you're not traveling, right? I mean, how are you sourcing new products, or what does that all look like?
Same way that we're doing things here on Zoom, right? Like
on the Zoom
kind of platforms like this. So what happens now, and listen, I don't want to say how easy it is, because I can't wait till we can get back to traveling, because that's the best part of my job. Spending time in Italy, Spain, France, spending time, meeting cheesemakers at their facility and learning and understanding what they're doing. Same thing with the winemakers, like being able to travel around the United States. I mean, that is, one of the best things, the most eye-opening thing for me, because it helps me to understand the people more. But we do it through Zoom or meetups or Microsoft.
So they're sending you the products, and then
they send us the samples and the products and the batch codes, and we go through it and we taste together. And right before I got on the call with you, I was on a call with a Dutch producer on this little island in Holland who makes one cheese for us, Wildeweide. And this Wildeweide cheese, it's just a spectacular, one of my favorite age Goudas. It's more grassy and herbaceous. And it's so very special that I get to speak to Jan and Roos, the husband and wife team, and their son Joost. who's come into the business now, who's helping to, you know, so when you talk to these cheesemakers, it's less about the cheese and more about the cows, or more about the land the cows graze on. And if they produce really high quality soil, then really great grass is going to grow, grass and herbs, and then the cows are going to have really great food to eat, and then produce a really great milk. Then they can make a great cheese.
Mm.
And so and they make 6 to 8 wheels a day, these people,
Oh.
right? Of a really spectacular cheese.
How long aged?
This is about
36.
now this one's about 8 months, 7, 8, 9 months, in that range. We get it, and it just eats so beautifully with the little crystals in there.
Mm.
I mean, so I was talking to them. We're tasting cheese, and he's making me understand these batches, because every batch is different, and my Manchego guy does the same thing, and I get all of our mongers on there who have the time to get on the call. They're on the call also, so they could ask the questions, and he's walking us through with his iPhone the make room and the cows and the fields, but usually if it's pre-COVID time, I would be on those trips taking my cheesemongers with me. I take 2 or 3 at a time. We go and travel. I show them these things. They meet the people, and it makes such an impact, because our mongers start to realize and understand we are affecting the lives of a small family in such a beautiful way, helping them to have an outlet for a product that they produce when there's no other income. And there's that, again, is humbling stuff. You just want to go to work for these people, and there's lots of stories like that in wine, in cheese, in a lot of the jams and honeys and chutneys and the things that we sell to complement it. Charcuterie, even.
How are these families making out during this? I mean, I got to imagine that it's definitely not business as usual since you're on the Zoom, but are they able to produce at the level that they were and financially?
So the animals never stop making milk. So the milk is coming. So they need us to sell the cheese. Sales have slowed down because they're not getting to as many of the people that they were getting to prior with their product. So, sometimes, for instance, this month, they asked us to take extra cheese. They reduced the price by 25 cents a pound or 30 cents a pound so that we can sell it cheaper. The cheese normally sells at $34.99. So I'm right now selling the cheese at $24.99 a pound for the month. So I took $10 off a pound. They gave me a discount of, I don't know, 30 cents a pound, whatever it was. But they asked me to take, an extra 35 wheels, 40 wheels to help them move through it. And so that's what we did. I mean, these are 20 to 24 pound wheels. And so I did, and we'll make less gross, they'll make a little less gross, but we're still keeping them in business and helping them to stay viable. And that's what we've done all through COVID. We've reached out to all of our cheese makers and, try to take on extra cheese and sell it cheaper so that, the customers who wouldn't normally try it because it's $35 a pound feel more comfortable spending $25 a pound on it.
Well, it's a big difference in pricing. People
it is.
$20 a pound, you're like, okay, I'll take a quarter pound. I'll take a half pound. Once it gets up into the 30s, you're like,
Listen,
not as comfortable.
Right?
And it's like wine.
Right. It's not as easy for people. And so, we're just trying to do our part to help both sides. If the customers, start to really love it and really appreciate, that it is worth $35 a pound, then maybe they'll buy it, next time when it's not on sale, and listen, at the Bruno Brothers, we don't ask you to buy pounds. We ask you to buy enough that you're going to eat. Like if you only eat a quarter pound, then eat a quarter pound. It doesn't matter to us. We just want to support really great cheese makers, makers of every product that we sell in a way that we can support them and work with them really, really well. That's all.
So you can appreciate that, all of that hard work that they're doing and you bringing it to us, because but people need to know that. And they don't know.
No, that's the beauty of the cheesemonger. So when you come in our store, and if you're willing to ask questions or listen to not just the cheesemongers, but the people behind the wine counter, like all of my people. Listen, we have about 350 people working at the Bruno Brothers, and they are subject matter experts. I mean, we give them the tools, we give them relationships, we give them the connection to the people to ask the questions. They're very inquisitive, and they know the answers, and they will help. They will help you to hone in. And I should also say that they also know that, especially in times like these, that people don't have unlimited budgets, and we're happy to work within a budget and show you what's really great in the $20 range, in the $15 range, in the 25. So just having honest conversations with people and then making them understand why this product is unique. Listen, I know we have $50 a pound cheeses. Do I want it to be $50 a pound? No, but when they're sold to us at $30 a pound, it's just or 30. We won't go above that 50. But there's a reason for it.
So I will say that they are very knowledgeable. I was in the wine store not on 9th Street a few weeks ago, and I asked the guy, I said, I'm looking for a rosé. I said, I don't want to spend a lot on it. I need 2 bottles. I said, under $30, because I don't want to spend a lot of money on rosé. It's not like a Brunello or a Barello. Like, it's like those bottles will be done in like an hour.
Yeah.
We're drinking.
Those rosés, there are some of them that are $35 and $40 a bottle because they're natural, because they're organic, because they're hand done, because I understand the value of it, but not everybody does. And listen,
well, sometimes you just don't want it for that too, right?
Right, exactly. That's why you have to have the range. We have to be able to have, and listen, we have $15 rosés to $40 rosé.
So he was really not, and I've been in there several times this summer, and the guy is extremely, I can't remember his name right now.
Chris Lou. It's probably Chris.
What's he look
like? Chris, Aaron, or Julian?
I think it's Julian.
Julian, the shorter guy with the curly hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
He's very, very good.
Yeah.
And every time, and it's usually on a Saturday when I'm there, because during the week I'm like jammed up. I don't really do anything but work. He's great. Like, you want to know about this? I said, do you have what was it? A Chateauneuf de Pape? The Chateauneuf? Yeah. And he gave me the one I want. I said, that's it. He's like, I think this is the one you're talking about.
Yeah, they know their stuff.
They do a great job. So tell me, I know you're in the catering and the restaurant upstairs, and you had just right before COVID reopened that. And I know you're not open right now. Are you planning on reopening?
So the restaurant is planning to reopen in a couple of weeks upstairs. The problem is at 25% capacity, you can't make money.
Yeah.
Everybody in the restaurant world will tell you. Everybody.
I know, it's horrific. Are they going to allow 50% at the end of the month or what? I thought it was today, the 21st.
Well, it is outside of Philly, everywhere but in Philly. So,
Because COVID's different here.
Yeah, it's different in Philly than it is in suburbs.
And the beach,
Oh, yeah. So we're going to open it in a couple of weeks, and we're just going to take our time and do the slow play. And we're fortunate that we have other things that are going on in the retail store that the kitchen upstairs does support as well. We're fortunate in that regard. We opened last year, the end of last year, we opened our event space, Banca, down in Spring Garden, and that's been closed because you can't have gatherings of more than 25 people and what have you. But we're opening up that and just doing small events there now. We're just taking it one day at a time and strategizing. Like I said, I got the store out in Wayne that we're focused on opening for the new year, January. We're fortunate that as a company, our saving grace right now is our e-commerce business. thankfully, due to our e-commerce business, we'll be able to get close to meeting last year's numbers as an enterprise, because that's going up quite a bit because people aren't leaving, aren't going out of their house, they're just ordering. But again, there's challenges there with the logistics of getting product to people in a timely fashion, which UPS, FedEx, they're all stressed and backlogged because they are the last mile for Amazon, and that's been stressful. But we're gearing up and doing the best we can and making sure that we can continue to give people great customer service along with great product. And next year will be a new year, and we're just developing a plan, creating a strategic plan for next year to be able to get more people to work and to drive this really great food community in the way that it deserves to be driven. And I want to be there to support our restaurant friends, however we can support them, with their pop-ups and doing things that are meaningful to them, that help them to be able to sustain their business. So that's what we're trying to do right now.
I like what they've done with the outdoor seating. It feels a little bit European.
Yeah. I mean, it does.
Nice.
We're fortunate that they allowed us to do that now, and a little late on the draw. If they would have let us do it before the summer, it would have been great. But
Get some heat lamps out there and stay out till November.
Yeah.
But you said that you're opening in the Wayne store. Is that a similar concept, or?
Yeah, it's going to be just like the Rittenhouse store out in Wayne, with a bottle shop inside, with a dining component. A bar. We'll have a bar in there, like Alimentari, which is our
Wow, that
restaurant.
sounds like a pretty big project.
Yeah, it's a we started this project before COVID, so we were already in. We couldn't abandon it once COVID started.
I mean, it's hard to. You can't have once your 1 foot's in the door, you can't.
Yeah.
It's hard to.
So, but we're still really excited about it, and we think that we could really have an impact out that way. And if it could help us to sell more great product to people and deliver an experience, and that's what we're going to do. We have an idea for this holiday season, that piazza we have, we're going to tent it. I think we're looking at getting it tented, and if we need to heat it, we'll heat it, and we'll do a marketplace in there for folks, in the Italian market. So we'll figure that out. Because the capacity of our store there is only 5 at a time.
I know.
Because it's tiny. So, we're doing the best we can.
So have you seen that each week is it picking up a little bit, meaning more, I feel like each week there's more people out and there's more things that are happening. That's kind of what I don't know if I'm making that up in my own brain, but.
Yeah, no, listen, I think you're right. And especially as long as the weather stays nice, as long as there's sun and not rain, I think we'll continue to see people come out and support the neighbors. And listen, the food community is fantastic. There are people, those that are part of the food community, that love to support the food community. They're out there, and they just need it not to be miserable out. And they will come and support the small places. I mean, Mark Vetri at Fiorella is doing a great job, and he's busy all the time. Thank God. I think the guys at Blue Corn up the street from us are nice and busy outside. Villa de Roma is still doing decent business, for takeout out of there. I mean, people get it, and they understand it. If the weather stays nice, they're going to start to come out and support the businesses. I can't say that we haven't been supported. We are. It's just harder to get the quantity of people in the store. I mean, what the store's like. Pre-COVID, we'd have hundreds of people just piled in and shopping. Right. It's a different world today. So people are trying to figure it out and navigate it. And I'll tell you, it's the greatest community, the food community, and the most inspiring community, the way that everybody comes out to help. And it's the first place we go to when we need to fundraise, right? Everybody goes to the chefs and the great retailers because they know there's feeling, there's passion, there's excitement there, and you'll get buy-in.
It's a strong community in Philadelphia for sure.
It is.
I mean, and I think there's been a lot of people rallying in favor of the food community and being supportive. I mean, we're telling people like it's Restaurant Week, go out, support the restaurants. I mean, just being open 25%, the ones that are open, go.
Yeah.
I'm not I would be out every night if I could, but
yeah, it makes sense.
I would be out every night. I love it. I think it's great. I'm looking forward to people coming back out. This is my first week that I'm going to be going out to lunch twice at a restaurant.
Nice.
We have to get people be comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
now
And we have to do it the right way too. Like, we have to respect others and wear the mask. We have to sanitize. We have to clean our hands constantly. I mean, there's things that we have to do to help people get comfortable, right? We all have this responsibility.
So have you seen in your business from a standpoint of employees that some people are on the page with you and then some people weren't on the page with you of what?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I think COVID's changed people, I guess is what I'm.
Yes, no doubt. Listen, there are some people so there's all kinds of people in this world. There are people that see something, they get affected by something, but they understand a little more and can roll with it and try and do what's necessary to make it all work. Then there are the ones that are just a little nervous about it, and you can't blame them for being nervous about what they don't know. So like in my house, there's both sides, right? There's me, and then there's my wife. My wife hasn't been out since COVID started. And listen, I get it. I come home, she's got me sanitizing as soon as I walk in the door, get stripped, go take a shower. There's a whole process, and I totally understand it. And we've had employees that felt like, well, I got to be here for the customers, but we've also had employees that felt like, I'm no good to anybody if I get sick, right? And so you just have to, communication is key. As long as we can have really great communication, open and honest communication, then it makes it a whole lot easier to manage and run the business. So, listen, things happen. You just we sell cheese. We're not politicians. We know food and cheese, like that's where our expertise comes in. We know how to create an experience and we know how to deliver on that experience that we like to create, focused around food. Anything outside of that is not where we come from. We try to keep our people protected that work at the Bruno Brothers. We try to keep the people protected that shop at the Bruno Brothers. And at the same time, we're trying to support and protect all of our makers in the industry. So, it's a tall task, but it has to be done. And, you can't run a business today and not take all of this into consideration. If you're running a business, managing a business, and you're not considering your people, the health of your people, and their concerns, then you're not going to be around long enough. I mean, we're an 80-year-old business, 81. And I got to tell you, we're dependent upon people, and you have to care. You just have to care.
It's good, continuing to have that sense of community.
Yeah.
And externally and internally, because it has to start internally so it could go externally.
Absolutely. It's like dropping a pebble in the water and the ripple effect. And, it starts in the middle, like with you, what you can control. And then it spreads out and becomes, everybody else starts to get it and realize it.
Yeah. And I think, sometimes we make mistakes too, right? We make a mistake, and being humble and apologizing for the mistake, because we're not perfect either.
No, listen, we've made our share of mistakes, and we're going to continue to make them. You just got to own it and, make it better.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
think being humble and yeah, and being transparent and honest are, doing your best to be the solution.
Yeah,
All we can
absolutely.
do is just do our best, and I think that's really what it comes down to. That's all we can ask from ourselves and from others,
Yeah,
right?
that's it.
So holiday baskets are coming. You're
Yeah,
going to kill it this holiday because everybody's going to want to send all their family these baskets.
yeah. We got a lot. We have a lot of product coming in from Europe. Containers, 6 containers yet to land. We're going to be building upwards of 52,000 gift baskets.
That's
all
an
there.
insane amount of baskets, by the way.
It totally is. Last year we did 32,000. This year's going to be upwards of 52,000, based on that.
Have they already started? The orders are coming in, so you can project it from where they are
Yeah.
now. Is that how you do it?
Corporate orders. So we know what our regular retail orders are going to be, and as they go, we have a good grip on that. For corporate orders, they're starting to roll in now. Companies are wanting to send gifts to their own people who are home for the holidays, and so we're starting to book those because we do custom corporate gifting in that regard, and we have a whole team just answering phones and doing that stuff. We have the ability to customize really cool gifts for people, put corporation names on them, and all kinds of stuff. So, we start that work in August, so we're already it's 6 weeks in on that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense that companies will spend more money this year on that because they're probably not having. Well, they're not having Christmas parties.
Yeah,
and they're not entertaining the client. So if they have the client from a client side versus employee side, the entertainment hasn't been happening. So it's a good opportunity for people to be able to reach out with something real nice to say thank you and show their appreciation. And because how else are you going to do it?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, generally they would take a group of people out for a big fat steak dinner or pasta dinner. In my case, I would like that.
Yep.
Some good red wine.
Makes tours.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So that's exciting. You have I hope it's very successful for you.
Yeah.
I hope. I know it's been a challenging year for all of us, and
everybody. Yeah.
We just got to keep pushing forward and be the solution and be there for our people.
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be the solution.
Right. You are. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time today, and thankful and grateful for you spending time on Be the Solution. And anything I could ever do for you, please reach out, and when I come in on Saturday, I'm gonna come in early so I could see you at the store.
I'll be there.
All right.
Maria, thanks for having me. It was great fun.
You're welcome. I'll see you real soon.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye.